The Eastern Cape Department of Education is closing 123 schools due to dwindling enrollment numbers.
Guys, have you heard about how over 100 schools have been shut down by the Eastern Cape Department of Education in South Africa, and how around 300 more schools are still going down in a few months to come? The government is saying that the main reason is low enrollment. Basically, some of these schools don't have enough learners anymore to justify the amount of teachers and resources being allocated to them. Guys, there has to be a bigger story behind this, because a school doesn't just suddenly wake up one morning and begin to lose hundreds of learners. This is where things get interesting, because we are currently watching a very heated debate about foreigners in South Africa. People are still marching in South Africa, and immigrant movements are still pushing the argument that foreigners are taking jobs, taking the opportunities, putting pressure on public services. And at the same time, we are seeing a province like Eastern Cape saying they don't have enough children in schools. They have schools with not enough children. Again, I say, when is this whole xenophobia issue going to stop?
The Eastern Cape Department of Education is closing 123 schools due to dwindling enrollment numbers. The decision to close the school was taken this financial year, with the move already being implemented in some facilities. And a further 300 schools will also be closed in the next few years. We were in conversation with Malibongwe Mdima, who's the spokesperson of the Eastern Cape Department of Education. Mr. Mdima, I hope this line will be a little bit better. Just to the question that we had asked about, just to define what these unviable schools are.
I was saying the unviable schools are schools that have got lesser numbers, leading to lesser resources. For instance, as you know, that we resource our schools based on the learner numbers. So once learner numbers are dwindling, it means you're not going to have enough educators. You're also not going to have enough other resources to ensure that teaching and learning takes place properly.
The Eastern Cape Department of Education is closing 123 schools due to dwindling enrollment numbers. The decision to close the school was taken this financial year, with the move already being implemented in some facilities. And a further 300 schools will also be closed in the next few years. We were in conversation with Malibongwe Mdima, who's the spokesperson of the Eastern Cape Department of Education.
The unviable schools are schools that have got lesser numbers.
Guys, you see it? You see it? It's not even up to 1 year, things are already shutting down. Kids are no more going to school. The school authorities are now complaining that children are not turning up for schools. You see, over 123 schools will now be closed by the educational department in the Eastern Cape Town. 123. Now, if these 123 schools close down, do you know how many people that will be unemployed? Recently, you guys are saying that you are marching because foreigners have taken away your jobs, your work. You are now calling for foreigners to go back to their country. Now foreigners have gone back to their country, your children are not turning up for schools. The school enrollment is not up to the standard. Now, the Minister of Education is going to close 123 schools. If 123 schools shut down, do you know how many people that will not be employed in South Africa? You guys don't know what is about to befall you guys. Nziko Muchunu said it the other time that something big is coming, and this is it. Do you know how many jobs that have left South Africa? How many companies that left South Africa? Over 423 companies left South Africa. Recently, Premier Foods shut down some parts of its production. Premier Foods shut down some parts of its production, which rendered thousands of South Africans unemployed. Now, 123 schools will be shut down. Do you know how many people that will be unemployed also? This is just the beginning. The earlier, the better you guys realize that it is better you fix yourself, hold your government accountable on all this thing that is going on, instead of using aggressiveness on immigrants, on foreign nationals that are in your country, accusing them of what they are not doing. The better for you.
The unviable schools are schools that have got lesser numbers.
Bro, right? 400 schools is crazy, man. Everything just they shut down in South Africa. Companies are shutting down. Schools shutting down. Shops shutting down. The citizen's brain is already shut down. Nothing when they shut down for South Africa, bro. Bro, 400 schools because of lesser numbers of enrollment. Bro, South Africans will never see anything, no. You guys have not seen anything yet. More are coming, more are coming. I told you guys, these things will happen. It will happen. The school that thought the foreigners are taking over the schools. Now the schools are being shut down because foreigners have left. Business are being shut down because foreigners have left. Companies are being shut down because foreigners have left. Bro, you guys will realize foreigners are the ones running your economy.
You know, these stories, when they happen, it's as if, you know, you're dreaming, or it's as if it's a lie, because you never hear prominent people like Jacinta discussing about these real issues that affect the poor, the marginalized, and the majority, which is the black people that she claims to fight for. This is a story about one man, the owner of Kumzi Investments, Mr. Sakumzi, about how he got paid almost 4 billion rands in tenders. In one single day, apparently one day, he was paid 67 times by the Department of Education. Now you tell me, if there is a migrant working in the Department of Education that is processing payments, is there a black African migrant working in the Department of Education in Eastern Cape that is helping to process these payments? You tell me, if there's a black African foreigner that is working at Kumzi Investments receiving all these monies. South Africans are not ready to accept that the majority of the problems in South Africa are caused by South Africans. You'd rather scapegoat Africans and scapegoat migrants and look the other way, whilst one man of one company gets 4 billion in tenders. Some of those services that he was supposed to give were scholar transport, where food schemes where learners would have access to meals and so forth. Today, or this week or last week or so, the Department of Education in the Eastern Cape announced that they are going to close down a number of schools. The reason being low turnout. You ask anyone, a lay person on the street, what would make a child not want to go to school? I can think of many things. Maybe they are hungry, there's no food at home. Number 2, they don't have the appropriate uniform. Number 3, they don't have transport to go to school. Money that was set aside to help those students was given to this man. 4 billion. Jacinta will never talk about these things. She will never post these things because she is part of corruption. She is involved. That's why she would never say anything. Uzotini Jacinta. What will she say? She's also chowing money. When you find that all these people that are so-called activists that have mushroomed overnight, that are reluctant to talk about the issues that affect black people, when they don't want to talk about it, you must know that they are benefiting from it. Jacinta Ngobese Zuma. They are benefiting from that nepotism, that family business of theirs. They are benefiting. That's why they will never say anything about this Kumzi Investments issue and how this man has received all these monies and not done anything for the Department of Education in the Eastern Cape. They will never say anything about Jacinta. They will just say, foreigners. You are busy fighting over who is selling vegetables with a trolley when one man is taking such an amount. You're fighting for a spaza to be able to control a spaza when the Department of Education is paying 4 billion of your tax money to one person. So you tell us which African foreigner, black African foreigner, is working at the Department of Education in the Eastern Cape and processing all these payments. You tell us because foreigners are ban mosheli liswi.
The closure of 400 schools in the Eastern Cape and another 300 will be closing in the nearest future. The 400 is going to be closed in this financial year. That means in 2026. Reasons is as a result of shortage of pupils in those schools. So they have to shut 400 schools down. You see, the reason I'm making this video is this. We saw over the last 1 year or 2 years, South Africa has been going into schools dragging foreign migrant children out of the schools, saying that there are not enough spaces for South African citizens. Why should foreigners be allowed in their own school? You can clearly see from this video that what the South Africans were doing were actually false. Not because there were not enough spaces in their school, it's just because of hatred for Africans, hatred for migrant children. They dragged a lot of migrant children out of school. But you can see there are shortages of places, shortages of pupils in schools. That is why these schools are shutting down. They don't have enough pupils. That's what it means. Because if you don't have enough pupils, you don't have government funding. So these schools are shutting down because there are not enough pupils to occupy those schools. South Africans, how do you justify this? How do you defend this? That's 400 schools is shutting down because there are not enough pupils in those schools. And you have been gallivanting all over the country, getting rid of foreign migrants in your schools, saying you do not have enough classroom for South African citizens. How do you defend it? I would like to hear from South Africans what they have to say about the closure of 400 schools, and another 300 will be closing in the future. That is 700 in total. So for me, this clearly tells you about the Afrophobic and xenophobic mindset that has eaten into the bone marrows of South Africans. That is why they don't seem to like their fellow African migrants.
So yes, over 100 schools are being closed because of declining enrollment, with hundreds more to be affected in the future. But for me, the bigger question is not just why are they closing the schools, it is why are the children disappearing from these schools in the first place. And considering everything happening in South Africa right now, the migration debate, xenophobia, I think that's a conversation worth having, because we can't just keep blaming foreigners for every problem without looking at the bigger picture. If we keep on doing that, we might just completely miss what is actually happening to South African communities. But I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what we think. Let me know what we think in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, do not forget to like, share and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.